Hi, I'm Brandon Grant, Marketing Director here at QuoteWerks. In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to use payment options in QuoteWerks to provide your customers with various payment options on their quotes. Although this feature can be utilized without QuoteValet, to really take advantage of all the functionality available, you'll want to use this in conjunction with a QuoteValet subscription. So, what are payment options? Payment options allow you to specify on your quote or proposal document how the customer can submit payment to your company. They are set on the Sale Info tab in QuoteWerks. There are currently 7 payment options available. These include credit card, e-check/ACH, check, PayPal, wire transfer, and 2 custom payment options. You can mix and match these payment options on every document as needed. So let's go ahead and set up this document with payment options. We're going to start with an already created document. We simply need to click on the Sale Info tab and then click on the Payment Options section on the right-hand side. You'll see there's 3 buttons: Add, Edit, and Remove. These are to update or edit existing payment options, or you can add a new one by clicking on the Add button. Since we don't have any payment options set, we're going to go ahead and click on the Add button. The payment type dropdown will show you a list of the payment options that are available. Since no payment options exist currently on this document, all the payment options that are available in QuoteWerks can be selected here. We'll go ahead and we'll start with the most common, which is credit card. When you select credit card, the payment display text can be customized. So if I wanted to edit this text, I can simply type in here. For our example, I'm going to change it to Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover, since these are the 4 cards that we accept. Next, I have the option to add a charge or a discount when this payment option is selected. What this means is that when our customer selects credit card to make payment, we can either charge them, such as a surcharge, or offer a discount when using this payment option. Typically for credit card, you would charge either a percent charge, such as like a 3% charge, or a fixed charge, maybe $10 or $15, depending on the size of the document, for using credit cards, almost like a convenience fee. If you're going to use a percent charge or a surcharge, please speak with your legal advisor first, as it may be illegal depending on your location, whether you can actually add a surcharge to the document in this manner. For our example though, we're going to go ahead and select percent charge, and then we'll type in the percent here. And so this would be a 3% surcharge when this payment option is selected. And then we can select if it's going to be taxable or non-taxable. We'll go ahead and leave it as non-taxable. The last option that's available is the disable payment option. This is a great option to use if your document grand total is over a certain amount. QuoteWerks will no longer allow your customer to use that payment option. So for instance, if your quote exceeds, we'll use $25,000 for our example, then if the grand total of the document exceeds that amount, the document will not allow the customer to use that payment option. That way you are not incurring fees for such a large transaction happening on the credit card. So we'll go ahead and hit OK to set this payment option, and you'll see it now appears under our payment options section. And if you click on the payment option and highlight it, if you right click, you'll have a couple of other options available to you. The first being you can select the payment option. When you select it, you'll see it will be pre-selected for the user. You can right click to deselect the payment option. You can also move it up and move it down if you want to reorder it when we add other payment options. You also have the option to remove the payment option. Highlighting the payment option and then also clicking delete key on your keyboard will also remove the payment option that is selected. So let's go ahead and add a couple more payment options. We're going to click add. And you'll see credit card is no longer available from the drop-down list because it has already been included in my document. So let's go ahead and add e-check or ACH as our next option. I'm going to go ahead and edit the display text just to call it ACH, since that's what our customers are used to referring it to. I am then going to offer a percent discount of 3% if the customer selects the ACH option. Since I don't have to pay any credit card fees, I'm going to provide the customer with a small discount as an incentive to use this payment option. And we'll click OK. And you can see the difference in the payment options here, where we have our surcharge when using the credit card and our discount when using ACH or selecting ACH as a payment option. Since this is the one that I want the customer to use, I'm going to go ahead and move this one up and double click to have it pre-selected for my customer. Let's go ahead and add one for PayPal as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll select PayPal, leave everything as the defaults. And then we'll finally add another one. We're going to add a custom payment type. Custom payment type allows you to set a default or custom payment option if you'd like. So for instance, if you offer terms, this would be a great way to offer, in this case, we'll say net 30, and maybe we'll charge a $150 extra if they select this option, and then click OK. And then we'll see here, we have our various payment options here. So for the customer, the best option would be ACH as it is the least expensive. It's also the most convenient for me. Okay, now that I have set my payment options, let's go ahead and get ready to send this document to the customer. So we'll click on our Deliver window here and select our layout. We're going to build our document just like we typically would if we were sending this out to a real customer. So select all our attachments, put everything in the right order, and then we'll choose Upload to QuoteValet. And we'll go ahead and we'll upload this to QuoteValet. Okay, let's go ahead and preview this document, make sure everything looks okay. And we'll scroll down, all our products and services look good. And then you'll see the payment options are going to appear automatically on your documents with your pre-selected option already set. If the customer wants to change it, all they have to do is simply click on the option and payment option they'd like to select. So if our customer decides to pay by, we'll say net 30, and they agree to the terms and conditions and they sign off on the document, we'll click to accept. This will bring us to the confirmation page. And this will show us the Pay Now button. Now, a couple things need to happen for the Pay Now button to appear. You'll need to have set up a payment gateway within QuoteWerks, and then you also have to have set a deposit for this particular document. We'll go into those settings here in just a minute when we actually go into the setup. So we'll click on Pay Now. And now you can see the customer has the option with net 30 pre-selected for them, where they can choose to essentially pay this way. The amount for the document will automatically adjust based on the payment selection. In this case, with net 30, it includes a $162 fee. So that brings the total over here to the right where we can see the full amount that's due. And the customer can even add notes for the sales rep, such as we'll send out a check once we receive the invoice. And they can choose I'll pay this way, and that'll actually send a notification to the sales rep that that's how the customer intends to pay. Now if the customer wants to pay by credit card, they can simply select the credit card option. When they select the credit card option, be brought to the payment page, they can select their card type, fill in their card information, and then submit payment this way. ACH will also be available if you've set that up. Customer will enter in their ACH information to make payment. And you see, again, as we select different options, the totals are going to adjust based on if there's any discounts or surcharges or any fees associated with this particular payment option. One of the really great features about the payment options in QuoteValet is that you can adjust them after the customer has even accepted the quote. So maybe you want the customer to make an installment payment first, or put some, maybe like a deposit down instead of paying the full amount, or you want to change the payment options that are available to them. We can easily do that. So if we close out of this window, and we go back into QuoteWerks, and we'll click on our QuoteValet tab, we'll see that it's been accepted by the customer, and we'll convert this quote to an order. And then you'll have three options for the document. You can view the payment request page, which will simply show you the payments that are available. It'll bring you to that page we were just on. You can submit a payment by proxy, and what this would do is allow you to make a manual payment on the document. For instance, if the customer may be called in to give you a credit card over the phone instead of electronically providing it, you could enter it in here. So we could do make payment by proxy. We could say the payment method was an Amex, paid by phone, and then you could enter in the amount. Maybe it's going to be, we'll say $1,500. And we'll say first payment, and then click OK. And this will actually show you payment by proxy was successful. So the document total was this amount. Total payments made up to this point were $1,500. The balance remaining is this. So if I wanted to request the customer to make payment on the rest of this balance, we would choose Request Payment. Now, if you simply want to use the existing payment options, they'll already be pre-selected for you. But maybe you don't want the customer to have the option to pay by net 30 anymore, since they've already made that payment. So we'll uncheck that option for the custom payment type. And we can also change the payment amount. Maybe they need to make a second installment. So if we just want to say they're going to give us $2,500 this time, and we'll call this second payment request, and then hit OK. This will open up an email window where it will provide the payment options that are available and a link to the payment page. I'm just going to go ahead and close out here. And if we go to view this payment request page, this will show the updated payments. So before we only had 4 options on here, now we only have 3 since we removed the ability to pay by terms or the net 30. You'll also see when we set the payment amount, it automatically applied, in this case, a 3% discount if they pay by ACH or a 3% surcharge if they pay by credit card. As well, it tells us what the payment amount is here. In this case, it's the second payment request. We can also scroll down and see a list of the payment history. So this will allow your customer to make partial payments until they've paid the balance in full. You can request the full amount at any point as well. You simply need to re-request the payment options. Now, if you want to change the payment options at any point, simply need to go back into QuoteWerks and choose Request Payment. And if you simply want to request the same amount, you can just click yes, and that'll open up the email window so you can resend the link if they didn't get it the first time. If you want to change anything about the payment, what you would do is actually click no. So if you want to change the payment request amount or the payment options, select no, and then you can adjust. So maybe you'll want $3,500 instead, and you're not going to give them the option to pay by the PayPal and net 30. We're only going to allow them pay by credit card and ACH. Click OK. That'll reload your payment options, and if we open up the payment page, you'll see we only now have the 2 options of ACH and credit card with the updated totals set. Now, we've discussed how you can take away a payment option. If you want to add a payment option, it's going to be very easy. You simply need to go to the Sale Info tab and add another payment option. So for instance, if the customer has said they want to pay by check, you can choose Add, select Check, and we'll just clarify that it needs to be a company check and click OK. And then that will add the payment option of check, and then we can go to our QuoteValet tab here, Request Payment, and you'll see that check has already been selected, and maybe that's the only option we want to give them. Click OK. That'll update our different payment options. Go back to the payment request page, and then again, just like the net 30 option, the customer can put in notes about when they're going to send the check or that it's in the mail, anything like that, and then say I'll pay this way and notify the sales rep via QuoteValet for that information. Okay, so we've talked about using the payment options and editing them for a specific document. If you want to set defaults for your payment options, we can easily do that. There's a couple requirements that are necessary in order to use the payment options properly. One of them being always need to have a deposit set on your document items tab. If you click on the ellipsis button here, you'll see your deposit required window, and you can change the amount based on a document. This can also be set as a default under your Tools Options menu. We're going to go into the Tools Options anyway, so I'll show you where to set that as a default, but this will be one of the steps that's required in order to accept a payment in QuoteValet. So if we click on Tools and scroll down to Options, this will open up our Options window, and on the Options page, it'll default to the Documents tab, and you'll see here on the left-hand side the deposit amount. If you click on the ellipsis button, you can set your default deposit required. Again, this can be changed on a per document basis, but by setting a default, you won't have to remember to set one so that you'll always be able to collect the payment information once you've set a payment option on the Sale Info tab. I'm going to leave mine as a full amount since that's the one that we typically use the most. So now for our payment options, we can click on the Payment tab. Here we're going to be able to specify which payment options will automatically be included with every document we create in QuoteWerks. So if you typically accept ACH and credit cards for every document you create, or those are your most common payment options, those are probably going to be the ones you want to set as defaults. If you're only using credit card, just set credit card, but you can set whatever defaults you want, and then the sales reps will be able to customize and change them at a later time for that specific document or on a document by document basis as needed. So to set a default payment option, simply click Add. This will bring up a very familiar window. You're going to select the payment type that you'd like to set. So we'll select credit card. You can now set the default text for this so the reps aren't having to type it in every time they're using this payment option. So again, we're going to default ours to the Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and Discover. We're going to charge a 3% surcharge when using credit card. I'm going to set it as non-taxable, and then if the document amount exceeds $25,000, we'll go ahead and disable that payment option automatically. You'll also see there's an option to set these selections as default. What this means, when I click on this, anytime I add the payment option of credit card to my sale info tab, it will automatically load these settings for me so I'm not having to do it manually. So it's just a nice little time-saving feature that's been included there. So we'll go ahead and click OK. So credit card is now one of my default payment options. We'll click Add, and we'll do the same thing for ACH. We'll adjust our text, provide our discount, and then set that as the default, and then click OK. Since we want to encourage the customer to pay by ACH, I'm going to go ahead and already have it selected as the primary payment option for my user. The next default setting available is the Map Payment Type Display Text. If you click on the button, that'll open up the Map Payment Type Display Text window, and this is where you can set the default text for the payment types. This is a quick way to set default text you want to be used when adding payment options to your documents. Additionally, when the text is set or changed here, this text will appear and be displayed when the request payment feature is used. For example, if I wanted to change check to company check, I can simply type in here, company check, and click OK. And that'll be the new default text used whenever the check payment option is selected or viewed. Next, we have our purchase option display macro. The display macros determine how these payment options will display on the PDF and QuoteValet documents. You can edit the descriptions here by adding to or shortening any of the information that appears in this macro. Clicking on the Reset to Default macro icon here will reset this macro to the default text, showing you the available options you can customize as needed for your documents. The purchase option payment type calculation display macro will display the payment information when you're adding a surcharge, a discount, or a fixed fee to a payment option. This again can be customized and always reset to the default by clicking on the Reset to Default macro icon. Once you've made your changes and customized these to your likings, simply click OK to save your changes on the Payment tab. The final piece to the setup is going to be setting up your payment gateways within QuoteWerks. So we're going to click on our Tools, Options menu, click on your Tenant Account tab, and click on QuoteValet Setup. On the Payment Processing tab, this is where you will add your payment gateway or your merchant account information. To add a new payment gateway, if you do not have one set already, click on the gold button, and this will let you select from a merchant account for credit cards, e-check or ACH, PayPal, or BNG/Connect Booster. So if you're using credit card, you would select credit card, select your gateway or supported merchant account, and then simply add in the required information and click Save. And that will save your merchant account information so that you can now collect credit cards through QuoteValet. If you are using this for ACH, you're going to follow the same steps. Click the gold button, except this time select e-checks, select your vendor or merchant account for ACH, click Save, and now you'll have your vendor set for ACH, and then click New again if you want to add PayPal or BNG to this list as well. So after making those changes, you simply need to click OK to save your options, and you're all set and ready to begin collecting payments in QuoteValet. Thanks for watching.